Now we got some more live action news for you guys. This one still negative, quote unquote, but not as bad as the last one, thankfully, the Death Note live action one, because this is a bit less cyberbullying and a bit less, death threats, and just some critique that we like.
Right.
So the director, the anime director for Fullmetal Alchemist, and looking at this is the Fullmetal Alchemist, this is the original one, right? This is not Brotherhood. This is the director for the original FMA.
Alchemist.
Was that?
Huh?
I don't know if they ever actually clarified that.
No,
Actually,
not sure.
but if you could look that up while I'm talking.
Sure.
The reason why I'm bringing this up, everybody, is because if you can see the title of the video, he actually, the Fullmetal Alchemist anime director, criticized the upcoming live action movie, which, wow. Which, I mean, you know what? I shouldn't be that surprised because it's not like this is the author of the manga. So this anime director is not getting any cut of the movie, which means that in some cases they can be a little bit more open and honest about how they feel. Nothing against authors, I'm not saying anything bad about them, but what I'm saying is that when you are getting paid to have your work be made into a movie, it's usually best to not shit on it in any way. Even if it's just mild critique. And this was very interesting, this mild critique, because we actually talked about this before. We did the, something like this. We did the trailer on the last episode. And because the trailer had come out, or teaser pictures had come out, that's what it was. And we're talking about teaser pictures of this FMA live action movie. And what ended up happening was we were saying, well, I'm pretty sure with the makeup, there aren't a lot of people in Japan that don't look like the actors in this movie. And the reason why I say that is because it's hard to use the word Japanese, because obviously it would be like saying, someone who's white looks American. It's like, no, that's not true, right? So it's strange because while we said that, we still understood, like, oh, and, trying to find someone who's also a good actor who can, speak Japanese. I'm sure that there are people like that in Japan, of course, but maybe they just wanted to go with this route. I don't know if it's cheaper, if it's easier. But apparently the anime director, at the very least, disagreed with the idea, saying it was a bad idea to only use Japanese actors. Which, super interesting, because then all of a sudden, now this opens up another discussion of like, oh, so, will we maybe in the future see more diverse, and I hate using the word diverse only because we're talking about people that are Japanese-born citizens, most likely, but still, like, diverse cast members when it comes to movies like this, when it comes to movies like the Attack on Titan movie, the live-action movie that came out, I wonder if we're going to get more diverse with some of these casts. What do you think about that, Tristan?
Right. So one thing wanted to mention, this is the director of the original anime of Fullmetal Alchemist, not
Okay,
Brotherhood.
good.
Yes.
Which makes sense because they didn't put Brotherhood in the article, which, by the way, if you guys are watching through YouTube, will be listed in the description below. If you haven't been noticing, we've been doing that. But yeah, so I don't know if it cut out or not. Were you able to hear me?
Yeah, no,
hear everything
I heard you say
Okay,
that,
cool.
yes.
Okay, good. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a more diverse cast, like, inclusion is always a good thing. Like, getting more people, different backgrounds is always a good thing. But
what's really can I interrupt for a second? What's really funny is from an American perspective, it is hilarious to say we need more diversity. Bring in the white people. It's really fun. Like,
yeah.
Wait a minute. Wait a second. But it's kind of funny because being from the U.S. If any of you guys are listening or watching us and you're not from the U.S. When you hear people saying, oh, bad things about, let's say, diversity in media, it's usually because it's other skin colors that are not white.
Right.
Or people that aren't European.
Yeah.
So that's why it's kind of funny. Now we're like, we need diversity.
Yeah.
We need Martin Freeman.
That's why I kind of feel like in this one, it's a little... I don't know, I feel weird, but at the same time, I feel a little silly saying, like, we need more diversity for this, because most of the cast for Fullmetal Alchemist, or at least, like, it's a European background. So, yes, granted, Asian and European, two different backgrounds, obviously. But for something like this, it doesn't feel like people are being necessarily replaced or, quote-unquote, whitewashed. So...
Yes, because here's the thing, Tristan. Think of it like this, because I think you're looking at it as, oh, this is a movie, because this isn't a movie being released for the American market. This is a Japanese movie being released for the Japanese market.
Yeah.
So think of it in a way where every Japanese movie has actors that look just like this.
Mm.
So you might be looking at it from the perspective of an American seeing something different, but imagine if you weren't. Imagine if this was a movie being released in the U.S., and in the U.S., it was, let's say, a comic book, let's say, that featured, like something like Samurai Jack, imagine. And then they just cast a bunch of white or European people. White Americans or European people.
Right.
Because it would be easier than casting Japanese people.
Okay.
So basically, imagine Samurai Jack, but with white people everywhere.
Tom Cruise as Samurai Jack. Oh, God.
You know what's sad? He said it as a joke, but then he felt it in his soul.
Yeah.
It's The Last Samurai all over again.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, Tristan. So think of it like that, right?
Yeah.
Because I think you're looking at it as a foreign film being released domestically, but it's a foreign film being released in that foreign country where, the quote unquote foreigners, i.e. the Japanese people that look just like that, make up a lot of media there. Not every single bit of media, but a lot of it makes up their anime, right? Makes up their live action movies,
granted,
makes up their other movies, TV shows, stuff like that.
There
Variety shows.
There are other characters of other backgrounds in Fullmetal Alchemist as well. So if some of them were casted as well, as being Japanese actors as well, then I might feel a little weird about it.
So you're saying at this point, from what we've seen, you're okay with them being Japanese because everyone thus far that seemingly would have been white/European is Japanese. So if they brought in the Asian characters for that arc and they were Japanese, you'd be like, well, this is odd. Is that what you mean by that? Or because right now what's going on is every character that seemingly would have been European/white is Asian or Japanese. So are you saying that it's okay because you've changed one race, but if you start changing every single one to just making it Japanese, is that when you'd feel differently? Is that what you're saying?
I guess, yeah.
Okay, no, because I'm wondering what you're saying, because I don't know how far this movie's going to go. We've only seen a few characters here and there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how far into the series this movie is going to go.
Same, yeah.
So, I mean, I guess, I don't know, people would still be angry at me saying that too, but...
Well, no, because it's a hard discussion, because usually when we have this discussion, it's about movies that are released domestically and living in the U.S., that's domestic for us. So we think of movies like, what would be wrong with casting like an African-American Mr. Fantastic or something like that, right? That's how we think of, like, what would be the problem?
Right.
Nothing, really. If the actor's good and if the actor does seem like the character from the comic books, there's nothing wrong, right? Like, what's wrong? Even though it's not domestic, we always think of, like, if Idris Elba was the next Doctor in Doctor Who, the amount of times I would be saying fuck and yes at the same time, kind of probably reversing the order at some point just to freshen up a little bit, like, yes, fuck! But the point is that, when we look at media, we think of like, oh yeah, like what would be the problem if? And it turns out that no, there really usually would not be a problem. But in this case, now that we flipped it and we flipped the markets, and now domestic is what you and I would consider foreign. Now the conversation gets shifted, and that's why I wanted to have it with you. And I would love for our fans to talk about it with us in the comments below, because it's a very different discussion. It's a very strange discussion, I think, for those that, are American-born like us, and maybe for some that are European-born as well, because maybe they would want to be represented. I mean, granted, it's not supposed to be a movie meant for European audiences or American audiences, but still, maybe they're thinking like, wow, the anime that shows us, right? Like, wouldn't it be nice? I don't know.
Right.
Right.
And
I don't.
One thing I wanted to point, like, aside from this discussion of like who to cast for characters, um, the director is also talking about how he's rooting for the film and he really wants to see how the 3D CG goes. But another idea behind it is that, like an idea that we've brought up on the show before, turning an anime or a manga media into a live action form usually doesn't go over that well. We've seen a lot of different examples of live action anime adaptations just really not cutting it. And one point that I do kind of agree with that he brings up is 2D, quote, 2D is freer than live action. You can express more with it. And I can agree with that. And yet he still hopes the best for the film. Like he's not shooting down the film and saying, "Oh, it's going to be terrible" before it even comes out. Like, obviously,
right, of course, because it's criticizing.
It's not. I'm going to give it a chance. So
exactly.
Yeah.
What I'll say briefly about that, just kind of wrapping this portion of the podcast up. What I want to say as we're wrapping this article up, I want to say that it's interesting because 2D, like as in anime, anime can age, and some say it can age horribly. But I would argue that you can enjoy an entire anime even if it's aged, because you then go, well, this is everything, versus watching a movie that has aged CG.
Right.
Because that can hurt your soul. Like 90s CGI,
right.
It hurts, man.
Yeah.
To even 2000s CGI can hurt just a little bit. So it, like over time, as CGI is getting better and better, I mean, even looking at just a few year gap, I think it was only 2 years from the release of Marvel's The Avengers versus Age of Ultron, Hulk looked a lot better in the second movie than he did in the first. And it's crazy how much better he looked. Hell, just looking at Hulk from 2008 versus 2013.
Right.
Or 2012. 4 year gap. And Hulk looks a lot better in 2012 than he did in 2008. And even going back a little bit further. 2003's, I think it was Ang Lee's Hulk versus 2008's Hulk. 2008 Hulk wins. So it's kind of funny. I'm not saying we have to paint a guy green for Hulk, but I'm just saying that when it comes to CG, CG can age a lot faster than anime can, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah.
When it comes to animation. So I'll say that, yes, definitely. And of course, that wasn't necessarily what he was saying, because he mentioned, you want to see how 3D will look. And when it comes to the whole, more freedom to do stuff, I think that budgets really change that. Because, or at the very least, because what happens is, I think the worst thing when it comes to when it comes to a movie, adapting an anime or any TV show really, is that time constraints. Because heck, it's between a budget being too low or not being high enough, and it's between time constraints, because you have to tell 25-minute episodes. Even if you take out the opening and endings, that's like maybe 21 minutes per episode, and it's about a 50-episode series.
Right.
You can't do that in 2 hours.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
Yeah, so my take on it is, I think even more so than the budget, the whole it's a movie, is like the time of the movie. Because if it was a 4-hour movie, I'm not saying it should be, but you could cover a bit more ground than a 2-hour movie. I don't know if it's going to be a 2-hour movie or hour and a half. Either way, it's hour and a half, 2 hours, not the best. But if you told me this was going to be like a TV show, then I'd go, oh, we have all the time in the world.
Right.
Maybe this could work. So the problem is that really when adapting anything to film, it gets so much harder to do. That's why when I heard that, just quick callback to talking about Death Note, when I heard that Death Note was coming to Netflix, I was kind of hyped, because I was like, oh, it's going to be a TV show,
Right.
And then it became a movie, or I heard it was a movie, and I thought, ooh, I don't know. Yeah. Because it's just so hard to adapt anything that isn't an OVA. Because there are some OVAs out there that are quick, small, that you go, hey, that's a good movie idea.
Sure.
Right? But there's also a lot of series that get picked up. And it's like, I don't know how this is going to work in live action form. And sadly, you're right, they usually don't.